if you got trapped by a psychotic Sasquatch hunter in a trap designed for Bigfoot, what would you do? Josh is a video journalist, just trying to show the world what kind of wackos are out here living amongst us. But when he decides to interview a pair of Sasquatch hunters to lightheartedly make fun of their entire belief system, goes from 0 to 60 real quick. I'm gonna break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the Sasquatch hunters in the Bigfoot trap.
I think you guys are getting high on your own supply.
We start out following Hector, a contractor helping our team of Sasquatch hunters, Red and Kyle, putting the finishing touches on a large cage designed to trap Bigfoot. Even Hector can't help but poke fun at the pair for their weird beliefs, but hey, payday's a payday. He jokingly suggests these guys are smoking the good shit to genuinely believe that Bigfoot is real, before going back to base camp alone.
I don't like his talking.
Right off the bat, Hector makes a couple of huge mistakes before he even knows what he's up against. Generally speaking, you would not want to piss off a pair of friends if it's only you three in the woods, alone. Now, you double don't want to do this if they both happen to be hunters.
Think of what I'm thinking.
Guess when you really don't want to do this though, when they hunt Bigfoot for a living. Not because that implies that they're big badass, but because it means they're probably fucking insane. Yup, told ya. There's two potential things going on here. A, insane hunters are messing with you, which, judging by Kyle's "fuck Hector, you thinking what I'm thinking" line, I think is plausible. B, they're not insane, and a cryptid is about to tear you in half. In either case, tell me, what exactly do you stand to gain by calling out now? If anything, this is where I'd haul back to my hunter friends, since they'd 100% be armed, and would protect him from the Squatch, even if they're actually messing with him. In this case, to not jeopardize the seriousness of their work, though I doubt that's really an issue to begin with. Alas, Hector is way too slow and gets beaten to death. Weird behavior from Sasquatch, who are rumored to basically tear people in half and gnaw on their innards, but sure. In any case, R.I.P.
I beat the shit out of Mike Tyson.
Nails, play dates, anal glands.
I'm counting to how many push-ups you do.
We cut to Josh, who calls himself a video journalist, but is basically a YouTuber. He goes around interviewing people with wacko ideologies and basically makes fun of them for views. That's it. I wish I could say it's a super deep character, but that's the whole premise. The dude makes fun of people for a living. We see a series of interviews, such as the Flat Earth lady, who calls out governments all around the globe, which I have to admit, it's pretty hilarious.
Congrats, 4 million views in one weekend?
Josh goes into his office and realizes he's managed to score 4 million views over the weekend, and without getting demonetized. This guy's good. He sits down with his boss, who appears to be baked out of his skull, as he tells Josh that the big man upstairs has taken notice of his work. He writes him a fat check and introduces his next assignment. You guessed it, the Bigfoot duo. We see a clip of Red calling out to media organizations with the ask to properly document their efforts. Josh's boss thinks he should do it, but stresses that he's effectively sending him out there to humiliate them. Josh makes the arrangements. You are really gonna regret this, Josh, for the reasons I mentioned before. Messing with or pissing off hunters is a terrible idea. Again, that song rings true twice as hard when we're talking about people obsessed with some kind of conspiracy. I know what you're thinking. Who would take their weird ideas that far as to pose a threat? And the answer is a shockingly large amount of people. At the very least, if Josh truly feels he cannot decline here, which I'd argue he 100% can, seeing as how he's now their celebrity star journalist, he should be setting the precedent that if he is taking them up on their offer, he's going to be doing so in its actual meaning, aka he's not going out there to humiliate them. He's going to document them, either finding something or not finding anything, and to keep his judgment to himself. Besides, it's not like you can't do a podcast-style discussion about it afterwards if you really have to rip on the guy. But recorded or not, making fun of two bears of hunters for the whole world to see is likely a really stupid idea.
I am here out in Sweetwater, Tennessee.
Josh decides he's done with life though, and goes out to meet the dynamic duo. As he's waiting to meet Red, he even records himself saying that this guy's gonna make an ass of himself, ultimately talking mere feet away as he walks up.
1, we find Bigfoot. Or 2, he makes a complete ass of himself.
You are actively working to subtract yourself from the gene pool here, Josh. And you're going about it super naively, too. Red has a heart-to-heart with Josh, and we learned that before he got into making fun of people for money, he used to actually publish meaningful work focused on more societal problems, which Red appreciates about him. He also, however, immediately makes it clear that he did in fact do his homework on Josh. Josh, right here and now, there is an opportunity for you to do a couple of things. And how you decide to go about this is going to either be great or really terrible for your health. You go about the interview, sans judgment, and make it clear to Red that you're not here to humiliate him, setting the precedent for mutual respect. You go about the interview with the usual but you make it clear to Red that this is part of the act and isn't designed to humiliate him, maybe compromising on some kind of limit to the joking. With a clear agreement, Josh will admit he's wrong if they find evidence of the Squatch, or you call off the interview and go home, letting Red know that you won't be able to do him any justice, and he'd likely not appreciate the slander against his character. Your boss may hate you, but it's good for your health. Besides, I'm sure for obvious reasons, the company you represent isn't gonna want you to get killed for people's entertainment. Josh decides to take his chances though, thinking the fact that he's filming all of this on the camera grants him cameraman invincibility powers. Now, if we do want to opt for the low IQ playthrough here, there's a couple of key things to double check. 1, our boss knows our exact address as a way to reach us and knows what date that we'll be back by. This ensures that if we end up in any kind of emergency, somebody will come looking. 2, our wife knows the exact same thing and is instructed to kick off the mother of all storms with the aforementioned boss if we don't check in by the agreed upon time. This ensures that even if Boss Man decides to cut his losses, somebody will hold him accountable for our well-being. This is only meant to be a couple of days tops, and for now, we obviously have no reason to suspect something's wrong. So these are just basic precautions more than anything else. Red takes Josh to meet his best friend and partner in Squatch hunting, Kyle. Red tells Josh all about their business, what they do here, and even shows him the neat t-shirts they sell at conventions.
They got Bigfoot conventions?
Yep, that's what I thought too. But given the Pacific Northwest absolutely loves their Bigfoot stories, I can't say I'm all that surprised. What does surprise me, however, is that Josh is openly laughing in these guys' faces about what they do for a living, mocking the whole concept that is Bigfoot. Josh, I get it. You talk for a living, but you certainly must have some kind of built-in logic-based instincts that would actively look out for your self-preservation, right? Yeah, so then why are you mocking these two guys in their own house about their occupation, which also happens to be their biggest interest and a topic they've literally devoted their lives to, while you know that the job you took on was to document? Like, this is just common sense, but at least pretend to take them somewhat seriously, rather than do even dumber like openly mocking their ideologies and their religious beliefs. People never get touchy about that, right?
Dear Lord Jesus, we pray that we be straightforward like the sky-reaching tree and that the Squatches be ever plentiful.
Amen.
Well, that Bigfoot tape turned out to be a hoax.
You know, a lot of people watching are gonna think what you're doing is a hoax.
Red very respectfully argues his points, explaining that for him, this is part of his life and always has been. His grandpa was into this topic, and it was even a way of bonding for them during his childhood. Safe to say, this is a lot more than just a silly myth to Red.
Much like God himself. Just because you don't see him, don't mean he ain't there.
Dude's literally comparing his strict religious beliefs to his belief in the Squatch, which are both things that you've been actively mocking to this man's face, and you're currently being taken to the woods where you'll be camping out with him, alone, I might add, in search of a cryptid known to rip people in half. Josh, man, you should do a 23andMe DNA test. Find out where you hail from, look up the name and burial location of your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, visit the exact coordinates she was laid to rest, bury your head right there in the ground, and profusely apologize for what a significant waste of heritage you truly are.
It's full of journalists.
And one more will likely be added to its ranks in no time by the way Mr. Goldable carries himself. Anyway, and they make it to the wooded area near where they expect to set up camp and gear up. Red grabs a rifle from the back of his truck.
Oh, what's that for?
It's for decoration, Josh. Once the tent is up, we're gonna want to hang it from the walls like an antique hunting rifle above a fireplace. Josh declines his very own gun, which is super stupid. Buddy, there's wild animals out there too. Not to mention with how much effort you're putting into letting old Red here know that you think he's a complete idiot and that you have zero respect for his way of life, I'd probably want to stay strapped the entire time I'm out here. The best part is that he's given you the perfect excuse for it too. Oh, just in case I'm wrong, I want to be armed to pop me a squatch in the face, which will likely make him ridicule you, but you'll be armed. You have literally every reason to want to take this precaution.
That was Bigfoot. You sure it wasn't a squirrel telling a knock-knock joke?
I like your sense of humor, Josh. You're gonna be the funniest dead man I've seen in a while.
It's a whole species.
Australia, they got yowies. Nepal, they got yetis. And here, we got Sasquatch.
Red explains that Bigfoot is just one of many types of an entire species, basically explaining that each continent has its own variation of the Sasquatch. Josh clearly thinks this is BS. Red shows how the trap works, which is a basic tripwire setup, and tells Josh he actually managed to record the Bigfoot eating bait out of that trap. I'm sure that'll be some real convincing footage.
Very, very disturbing.
Seems legit. Red tells Josh that they have about 2 days to catch her.
What if we don't?
Well, then you'll bully me like you did that flat earth lady.
There you have it. This tells us immediately that Red has not only done his homework, but he knows the not so nice parts about us as well. Now, judging by his demeanor, I don't think Red is a bad guy. It is clear, however, that he seriously believes in this stuff. So not only is continuously mocking him in extremely poor taste, but what the heck makes you think Red's the kind of guy to just let you talk endlessly?
I know you wouldn't do that to me.
Take a wild guess why he's so sure, Josh. Either it means he's confident you're gonna get proven wrong on tape, or that there's no way you're gonna walk away with your tongue if you try to treat him the way you do your usual clientele. They set up some speakers in the forest at night, presumably to try and bait Bigfoot.
You playing it a lullaby?
My God, Josh, at this point you've actively given this guy reasons to want to prove you wrong. They play a roar through the speakers, and hear a roar coming back through the woods. My first thought here was, that's probably Kyle with another speaker, which is a logical thing to immediately jump to, especially if you're skeptical of the situation. He's not here with you, and he clearly has an equally vested interest in bringing attention to their organization as Red. Josh keeps talking prompting Red to grab the camera and confront him about his behavior, while Josh looks visibly scared.
You're a journalist, not a goddamn comedian.
Josh, this guy has the patience of a saint. In all your years doing this, you cannot seriously tell me he is the first and only person you've ever considered that might get mad at you or get violent, especially with you actively humiliating them in public. This tells me you've likely more than once been in a situation wherein the people you interview or their friends and family eventually threaten you or otherwise make you feel unsafe. Now Red has nicely asked you to stop dicking around, and I think that's a stellar idea. Like I said earlier, do what you came here to do. If you need to rip on the guy, at least do so within the walls of a studio or office, ideally with a security detail by your side if you plan on going down this line of work for much longer. You're gonna probably need one eventually. I find the Bigfoot thing ridiculous, but even I started getting seriously tempted to find Josh and beat his ass just for being such a dick. I mean, Red is taking you camping here, providing you a genuine stalking hunting experience free of charge. You should be grateful your work takes such an interest in allowing you to reconnect with nature. Red has Josh perform the next form of contacting the Bigfoot by smashing two rocks together. Gives a vibe of a initiation ritual or something. And of course, there's a response down in the woods.
Look at that. 1, 2, 3.
They run into some tracks, supposedly from a Sasquatch, and hear rustling in the woods. It's pretty clear that there is something there, but who's to say it's Bigfoot? It may just as well be a bear though, so I do agree with their decision to GTFO ASAP. I highly doubt it was Bigfoot getting territorial, as Red suggests though.
All right, Day 2.
Day 2 comes around, and we hear Josh explaining that he checked the traps to make sure Red didn't rig anything to make his Bigfoot seem real. Josh tells the camera that he's definitely starting to think something's actually out here. What I find funny is that for someone in his line of work, he still hasn't once considered this might be Red's partner helping him set things up to seem real. Like, dude, you're literally expecting him to rig up traps to make Bigfoot appear real. How are you not expecting this obvious
What's up, big man?
Yo,
Speaking of Kyle, Red meets up with him and airs his grievances with the city boy, thinking that he's not buying it. He tells Kyle that he may still need him if he can't get anything by tonight and receive some bait to get the Squatch out. This is pretty important information, believe it or not. Not only do we see that Red is in fact starting to lose his patience with Josh, which, let's be honest, we all would. We also now see that these two actually do wholeheartedly believe in this Squatch, and that they do expect to find one out here. We also get a much stronger hint that they're willing to take action if they don't, implying they might be willing to create some fake evidence for Josh to record. None of this happens within earshot of Josh, obviously, but given that he's legitimately having doubts and beginning to get scared now, the one and only thing I can really think of that he could do is ask Red for that gun. Not only will it show Red that he is starting to buy it, therefore earning us +1 respect, but we can also use this to gauge how likely it is that Red is going to pose a legitimate danger to us in the future. How much, you ask? Simple. If he's still down to hand us a rifle, seeing as he offered it earlier, it's all good. If he suddenly makes up some BS excuse, it's clear he doesn't want us armed for whatever reason, which means we may want to start thinking about GTFOing sometime soon. Oh, and we also learn that they used to do hard drugs together. While Red is adamant on staying clean, it still implies that they may have just been tripping when they claim to have seen Bigfoot. Just saying. Josh manages to get cell reception from atop the roof of the Bigfoot trap that Red had constructed. He gives his wife the TLDR version of things, without mentioning any of the vibes he's getting off Red, nor what they went through in the woods the night before. I really don't think there's any reason to keep her in the dark, especially if you're not getting a clean vibe off the whole situation, which Josh here visibly is not. I also don't understand why he's that worried about going against his boss and making this video less about humiliating Red, particularly if he genuinely feels it's not the right thing to do. What's his boss gonna do? Fire the star they've created? In real life, the competition's probably lining up in this guy's LinkedIn night and day for a chance to pay him likely 2 to 3 what he's currently earning for the PR he can bring any competitor. I'd say he's got sufficient professional leverage to take some initiative on this project. He shows some of the first actual thinking yet in this movie just before he gets off the phone with his wife and gives her an ETA on when he should be back. This is very good because it implies that someone will come looking if shit goes down, and that our wife will be personally on top of it should we vanish. He really should have given her a better sit rep though, so that if the police get involved by any chance, which our sit rep would certainly increase the odds of, they also know to immediately be suspicious of the people that brought us out there to begin with, even if they're not the reason we pull a Houdini. The cops being up Red and Kyle's ass is still gonna be the best way to find what's left of us.
I figure we leave a trail of breadcrumbs up to the trap for her.
Through our campsite.
Josh links back up with Red, who's hanging up meat in a breadcrumb trail, which leads to their campsite. I agree with Josh here. That is just stupid. Red has shown us that he genuinely believes in this shit, so he has literally zero reason to be doing this.
You're the journalist and I'm the Bigfoot nut. You're getting a Squatch on camera tonight, no matter what.
The implication here is actually super alarming. Okay, so at the moment, we understand that Red here actually does believe in this thing. He's hanging up a trail of bait that leads straight to us, and ensures that we're going to get our shot one way or another.
I'm in danger.
Yep, This means at best, he's gonna mess with us with some sick practical joke to get us a shot. At worst, which is definitely the implication here so far, he's baiting a cryptid straight to us.
Man, I don't know what I'd do without you.
Red and Kyle share a warm bro moment over by the trap just before night approaches. Josh records another video log, expressing his guilt about his chosen profession. He suddenly hears a roar in the woods, and we see a creature walk over to his tent. He grabs his camera, as we can almost hear his butt clenching up. He slowly opens the tent and sticks his camera out, recording the creature munching down on the bait right before it spots him. As Josh cowers in his tent, the Squatch comes for him, scaring the ever-loving shit out of him with gorilla roaring. Red fires 2 shots, and we hear the creature making a break for it, before telling Josh it's safe to come out. Josh gives Red shit for not killing the animal, as it would be proof of its existence. Ah, yes, a scientist. I'm somewhat of a scientist myself, you know.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
The way Red sees it, these animals are sacred and not aggressive, so he wouldn't shoot it. He calls out Josh for the hypocrisy, since he claimed not to believe in Bigfoot at all to begin with. Then he asks Josh if he believes in Sasquatches now.
I don't know. It could have been a black bear.
Yeah, dude. Humanoid gorilla creatures that eat rotten meat off trees while making clear monster noises that you know aren't bear noises, or any noises that are likely normal in the woods. Whatever this was, it wasn't a bear. As Red points out though, you recorded this thing, Josh. Maybe check the recording. Even if it's blurry, you'll definitely notice the difference between a cryptid and a bear.
Looks like she stepped clean over that wire.
The next morning, they head down to the trap and find that Bigfoot managed to get past the trap and took the bait too, all without triggering the tripwire. Squatches must be super intelligent, or it was someone who understands these mechanisms intimately and has a stake in making us believe Squatches are real, like these hunters. Convenient, just as Josh points out. Between Red's questionable camera footage and Josh's blurry camera footage, which he still thinks is of a bear standing on its hind legs, Josh doesn't feel he has any real evidence here. This seems to piss off Red pretty fast, but then Josh decides to run his mouth once again.
How do I know it wasn't some guy in a costume? Or you?
Red tells Josh to pack his shit, admitting defeat, telling him he's gonna go clean up the trap before they head back.
He thought it was a bear.
We see Red and Kyle talking shit about Josh at the trap, but they genuinely seem to think this encounter was real. And critically, neither of them is talking about this encounter like it was one of them in a costume. This tells us we're up against something we currently do not understand to its full extent. Red asks Kyle for a favor, which is in fact to dress up as Bigfoot to give Josh something to record. I'd say this is a idea, because if this thing is real, that means the footage will not be proven to be fake, meaning at least your integrity is still intact. If you do this now and Josh manages to notice it's BS, or worse, you risk your entire operation being blown for the whole world to see as he makes it viral.
Man, I don't want him mocking me in front of the whole world.
And there you have it. Proof that Red's patience was a professional courtesy, which he otherwise wouldn't have offered Josh. Something tells me this is gonna escalate real fast. Right before we get treated to what I'm sure will be an Oscar-worthy performance, we see Kyle bump some nose candy, because that's just what this already dysfunctional situation needs. Never mind 2 fragile egos, the guy who spent 2 days mocking this guy's entire belief system, or the fact that unbeknownst to Red, Josh is actually kinda starting to freak out about Squatches being real. What could possibly go wrong? Josh apologizes to Red about the entire situation, but otherwise tells him that he'll be honest on video and let the audience decide for themselves. Provided he honors this, I honestly don't see what the big deal here would be. The wheels of stupidity now in motion. Red tells Josh to grab his camera, and he begins recording immediately. We're treated to some straight up a comedic level acting from Kyle. High as a kite on running around in costume. Josh makes mention of GTFOing, but is clearly worried and fixated on the gun. Red reassures him it's all fine. Josh starts shaking like a little bit, just as Foot starts charging at them. Josh immediately picks up Red's rifle and pops the creature right in the chest before Red tackles him to the ground. You dumbass. Aside from the fact that your encounter last night was real, and that you would 100% still have some credibility left with the current state of things if you just let Josh leave, why would you think instructing Kyle to get this close was a good idea? At the very least, you could secure the rifle under the guise of protecting Josh, since you are the expert Bigfoot hunter after all, to prevent this from happening. You literally created a scenario wherein you had a man fearing for his life, already showing you just inches away from your face that his body is going into fight or flight here, and you don't secure the one instrument you know his instincts will scream at him to reach for to protect himself. This is such a stupid accident, but I have to say, I blame Red and Kyle for this above anything else. They ultimately let their ego get so hurt, they decided to pull an extremely dangerous stunt, which has now gotten one guy almost certainly killed. Red makes it over to Kyle, who claims he wasn't buying it, so he came closer. Reality sets in for Josh, who decides to drop the rifle, just as an enraged Red picks it up and nearly instantly revenge kills him, before deciding to rifle butt him into unconsciousness instead. Okay, a few things here. Red, you are responsible for this situation, and you failed to secure the weapon that killed your guy. You're sober. You're clearly the more mature one between you two. This is on you. And Josh, you just had the ultimate confirmation that these guys had been dicking you around since the start. As far as he currently knows, this could also have been the thing that scared them to death last night at this point. There's an endless list of things that I could point out here as to why you should believe that Red isn't your friend. But my point here is, don't drop the gun. There's another round in there. Point it straight at Red and slowly back away so he's not within grabbing range. That way, if he decides to charge you, you can drop his head. You wouldn't have a hard time explaining this situation to the cops. The situation's fairly self-explanatory. Plus, you have most of this incident caught on camera. The cops would have zero issues with believing Red lost his shit after the accident and tried to murder you, forcing you to go for the double kill. However, if he decides to back off, being held at gunpoint and all, you can at the very least keep him away, get help, and make sure you get some witnesses and the cops out here ASAP to prevent any escalations, either direction. Instead, Josh gets knocked the f out and dragged into the Bigfoot trap. Red gets back over to Kyle and tries to help him, leaving Josh behind. He gets Kyle up from the ground and starts walking him over to the car, presumably to drive him over to a hospital. At this point, Kyle is still conscious.
Kyle? Kyle?
Moments later, Kyle loses consciousness in the front seat of the car. Red pulls him out, puts him on the grass, and tries to resuscitate him to no avail. Red, you're a hunter, familiar with firearms and survival in the wild. Presumably, that means you know what to do in case of a gunshot wound such as this, right? So why didn't you do literally anything you're supposed to do? We see that Kyle takes a round to the chest. Costume doesn't exactly make it easy to determine exactly where the bullet hit, but it looks like it hit below his heart on the right side of his chest. Assuming this is not a sucking chest wound, meaning air is getting into the wound, risking a collapsed lung, this means Kyle here has a shot at making it if we immediately put pressure on the wound, even using our knees if necessary, and pack the wound with bandages to stop the bleeding. If this is a sucking chest wound, Red can use a piece of plastic to seal the wound, preventing air from making it in, to help prevent a collapsed lung. In both cases, in spite of the fact that Josh caused this, Red should get his shit together, instruct Josh to get help using his cell, or even driving for help, while Red administers aid to Kyle. That was honestly Kyle's best shot, but instead, Red just got Kyle up from the ground with his wound still open and gushing blood, walked him to the car, and sat him down like a dumbass. I genuinely think this death may have been preventable if they acted fast enough.
Whoa, take it easy.
Red returns to the cage and debates putting down Josh. Yeah, it's not like you orchestrated this whole thing and accelerated Kyle's death with your gross negligence or anything. But hey, blame Josh. Josh begs for his life, and Red clearly's not convinced, but he can't quite bring himself to kill Josh either.
Kill the SSRF, which is my only source of income. You'll get away with the murder of my only friend on the grounds of self-defense. I'll get thrown in jail for kidnapping.
Yeah, that is all true though. Red ain't dumb. and he knows Josh will tell the authorities what happened if he ever makes it out of here. But Red, this was your doing after all. That's kind of what you get for doing stupid shit. Red basically questions if he can trust Josh and mentions that he's already in legal trouble for the Hector thing. As is. This seems to confirm the earlier beating of our contractor was indeed the work of Red and Kyle, which now just makes me hate these guys even more. What's crazy here is that they know the Squatch is real, and they still choose to do stupid shit like that calls into question their entire operation.
People will realize I'm missing.
Josh points out that people are gonna come looking for him, but as Red points out, they know where his cabin is, not the campsite. He'd be a goner before help ever gets to him, and Red would certainly have plenty of opportunities to hide both murders. Now, the benefit of the doubt here is that you can play off that you did in fact make contact with your wife, and that you could lie to Red, saying that you explicitly told her that you feared for your life around these two, and that in the event of you turning up missing, you instructed her to immediately stick the cops on Red. Now, there's a decent chance we're gonna just increase his will to want to off us altogether, but let's be honest, the dude is way too calm and collected not to already be debating that right here and now. At least giving him a legitimate reason as to why all signs will immediately point to him will 100% cause him to rethink things.
What's a perfect outcome look like for you?
Out of nowhere, Josh puts his brain into Charles Xavier mode and recognizes this situation for what it ultimately is, a negotiation. That is because what Josh here is doing is actually part of a sales strategy designed to sell around current state versus ideal outcomes. There's several variations of this, like Apple's start with why marketing techniques, but generally speaking, the approach involves figuring out what the ideal situation to fix the current predicament is. In an ideal world where nothing's wrong and everything's possible without limitations, and working backwards from there to adapt this set of circumstances to our reality and find common ground. The key purpose and power of this method is that you can maintain control of the conversation and rely on not your persuasion skills, but rather the conversation partner's own logic to be used against him, guiding him to his own conclusion. Similar tactics are used in hostage negotiation situations as well. In this case, what I do here is lead the conversation back to what I mentioned before. Make it clear that if anything happens to us, all fingers are automatically going to point at Red. Work backwards from his ideal outcome, which was basically to get publicity out of this, and agree to some kind of deal where the murders covered up entirely in exchange for Josh's freedom. Plus, a super nice pro-Squatch reporting of Red's business, which gets him that bag. You can always fuck him over when you're safe and sound. If Red genuinely believes that he's never in 1,000 years going to get away with killing us, this will literally be an offer he can't refuse.
Deal.
They ultimately agree to let Josh use the footage of him shooting Kyle as some kind of movie-like encounter, with Red getting his desired publicity and dub it a win-win. Now, considering Josh would realistically be able to prove that he legitimately believed he was in mortal danger, this may be deemed self-defense. However, I could easily see a decent lawyer spin this tale the other way, meaning I also kind of think this is a win-win. Legal nerds, I'm open to hearing from someone with experience on this topic. Red takes out the single camera that captured him getting trapped, and they agree that Red will bring Josh his backpack and will do all the video editing right in front of him, so he can't go back on his word later. He leaves the shotgun in the dirt, just out of reach of Josh. The instant Red leaves, Josh goes for the shotgun. Only problem is, he can't quite reach it. He doesn't manage to get to the gun in time, and is lucky Red wasn't actually looking during that walk back towards him. Red tells Josh he deleted any copies of the footage of Kyle getting shot, with the only copy being in the flash drive we see him carrying around his neck. The plan is that once Josh finishes what he needs to do, they move the video over to the flash drive and destroy the computer, so there's no way that this can get used against Red. Thorough. I like it. If only you'd have shown even close to this level of dedication to your work, Kyle might have actually lived. Red goes to bury Kyle while Josh secretly records a video of himself on his phone explaining his side of the story, including what happened and that he's currently being held hostage. Understandable, but that's not really gonna count as evidence. Unless maybe you can send that video to your wife, provided you can grab a signal in the top corner of the cage, or otherwise call for help. Recording this video is a waste of precious time.
Who'd have thought that squatching would have killed you before dealing did?
Honestly, anyone who's seen you work, dude, you guys suck at this. Red says a heartfelt goodbye to Kyle. It's clear that they were close, and that this is a hard loss for him to process, since they were childhood friends.
Signal.
Josh remembers that he has a chance to grab a signal near the roof of the trap, and tries to get some bars so he can call for help. To his surprise, he manages to get a signal and gets through to 911, informing them of his predicament just as he realizes the call dropped at some point throughout his sentence, and that Red is now staring straight at him. It goes about how you'd expect.
There's no signal.
Josh, literally all you had to do is not turn your back to the opening of the cage and pay some attention. You could literally wait for him to leave one of the next dozen times and try again. Too late now though, as Red smashes the phone into pieces. This also understandably causes Red to reconsider the whole deal we've got going on here.
This changes things, don't it?
It's pretty clear Red isn't dumb, that he knows Josh is lying. He tells him to finish editing the video, and then he'll decide on his fate later. Hallelujah. The cops actually got the transmission from our call and sent someone out. Now, it's just one single officer, which sucks, but that may be all we need. He tells dispatch he's going in, but he's also dealing with signal issues.
What I saw that night was unexplainable.
Meanwhile, Josh has finished the video, which looks to be a proper, respectable piece. Red tells Josh that he's been doing this his whole life, but the first time he fakes something, it goes all wrong. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. If you had so much evidence this was real, why risk anything at all? It's clear that Red doesn't trust Josh for shit, that he feels incredibly desperate and isolated now. He equates letting Josh go to losing the last piece of his life's work and remnants of his family, which bodes really, really badly for us. Red's about to give in to his demons and turns himself into a whole nother bear altogether, as Josh tries to talk him out of it. This especially sucks because we saw earlier that Red really put in hard work to stay clean, that he was doing so successfully. Losing Kyle is making him fall off the wagon here. Red goes full Leo DiCaprio. He goes off wandering into the woods telling Josh he's gonna go think straight, whatever the fuck that means. At the very least, Red appears to be willing to find a way out of this for us both, which is something that we can use to our advantage. Just as Red's walking on sunshine through the woods, he notices the cop that was sent out to investigate Josh's distress call. He decides he's gonna go for the speech check and delivers a performance so convincing it's cleaner than the Colombian gold currently jacking up his heart rate.
You gotta help me, man. He's after me.
He tells the cop he's Josh, and that they need to GTFO because Kyle, the guy that kept them hostage, is on his way with a gun. Damn. You did Kyle dirty, Red. It's okay though, that's what he would have wanted. Now, he took a major chance here because of three very obvious reasons. One, Josh is, as you know, famous, meaning people know his face. It's unlikely a rural countryside cop is gonna be into it, but you're taking a bit of a gamble here. Two, due to the fact that you do not know what Josh did or did not say when he made contact with the police. How can you be so sure that this cop didn't check out Josh's backstory? Therefore, finding pictures of his face, as well as checking out the backstory of the person running the establishment Josh is visiting, aka you, Red, you dumb motherfucker. 3, he literally told us in the cage about the cops questioning him about Hector's case, meaning they know who he is.
I told you, I'm Josh Red Wilson.
And there you go. Busted. I mean, you can't blame Red here. He's all kinds of fucked up on that sweet, sweet happy powder.
Hands where I can see him.
Knowing when he's beat, Red gets cuffed and is forced to lead the cop to the cage. He tells the cop that he made the 911 call before the cop gets Red to kneel and removes the key from him. He realizes he needs backup. Unlike most cops we see on the channel, Josh tells him the roof of the cage gets a signal, so the cop orders Red to stay put and goes to climb up to call in backup. leaving Red next to his rifle. Now, initially, the camera doesn't show us. However, the cop would 100% just see the rifle leaning against the cool over there clear as day. Taking that rifle's the obvious play before doing anything else. But for some reason, the cop just throws all his tactical training right out the window. For the entire nearly 30 seconds that he spends making his way up on top of the cage, neither he nor Josh are even looking at Red. They're literally looking around him, like they're corrupt cops looking the other way while they take a bribe, resulting in this lovely encounter. The cop takes a round to the knee and falls off the cage. He's quick to draw, but pretty much gives up after shooting Red in the shoulder with a single round, landing him on the receiving end of a brutal beatdown. That's what you get for poor accuracy. Josh manages to grab the keys to the cage before Red figures out where they went. As he tries to wake up the cop he just viciously beat down, he comes to the realization that he's dead. Dude, you just kicked his face in, and he took some fall damage. While you can absolutely die if hit in the face hard enough, I'm pretty sure you should just administer CPR here and he'll be okay. Besides, you're all cooked up. How do you even know he truly doesn't have a pulse? Not that it matters. We saw from Red's god-awful combat first aid skills earlier that he's almost as useless as Nana in No Way Up when it comes to dealing with injuries, which means our boy in blue is a goner. Josh debates sneaking out with the keys while Red is fixated on powdering his nose some more. Yeah, dude, that's just what this situation needs. More coke. I'm sure that'll make this manslaughter, first-degree murder combo work out better for you. Don't you know? If you get convicted now, you get a 2-for-1 deal. 2 life sentences for the price of 1. Just as Red becomes self-aware as to how deep he's just dug himself in, Josh seizes the opportunity and takes off running. I honestly think this isn't the worst idea. You're clearly going to be much faster than the significantly heavier Red. His heart rate's already jacked up due to the drug, and his gun is a double barrel. If you keep moving and stay in a path covered in trees, he's likely not going to be able to hit you because you're moving too much, and he's not going to be able to reload while moving as easily. All the while, you're just creating distance between yourselves. Never mind, Red runs Josh down like it's nothing. Even if he hadn't tripped over exposed roots like a cliche horror movie protagonist, it honestly looked like Red had him no matter what. Josh delivers a nasty right hook to Red's cranial, and they wrestle for control over the gun. Josh manages to get another hit in and takes off running again, successfully dodging Red's 2 shots before he hides behind a tree. Dude, you can hear him huffing and puffing. My guess is that means you can still outlast him in a distance run. And you now know he's gonna be reloading. Stop cowering and run, you moron.
Josh, I can't hear you running. So you must be hiding.
As the hunter is quick to realize, Josh isn't running, he's hiding, which is super dumb because you can hear him reloading. You can hear he's out of breath. Considering he's giving away his position the whole time, you also know that he's slowly walking over to you like a goddamn movie villain. You can create so much distance between you and Red right here, right now. Red tries to negotiate with Josh again, claiming he's got his leverage back if they get blood on their hands together by disposing of the cop together, and that they can come to an arrangement. Now, this is obviously a trap, and even Josh ain't that dumb. He takes off sprinting again, just as Red misses yet another shot. Josh bolts downhill to their campsite while Red misses 3 more shots, meaning he's down to his last round, even though Josh doesn't know that. As Josh is huffing and puffing behind a tree, the final round manages to hit his hand, causing him to immediately drop into the fetal position and cry at the loss of his field waifu. I know it hurts, dude, but run. It's just your hand. It's not your legs. The cherry on top here is that if you would continue running now, he'd be out of ammo. Josh hands Red his keys and pleads for his life yet again. But not to worry, Red has a plan. Red makes Josh get his hands dirty with the bodies as he complains of dehydration. Buddy, I hope you get that he's not too concerned about your well-being. We get to hear that Josh doesn't really like how he got into his line of work, which Red judges him for anyway. I mean, it's not like you're one to talk. He orders Josh to move Kyle's body and gets mad when Josh complains some more.
Maybe you shouldn't have Shot him!
Or maybe you shouldn't have orchestrated this stupid plan. They rearrange Kyle and the cops' bodies next to each other, and Red fabricates a storyline involving these two killing each other, saying they can say the 911 call was made under duress by Josh. Now, not to spoil your illusions or anything, Red, but forensics will quickly point out the cop's cause of death, as well as the fact that both the cop and Kyle were shot with your rifle. Which reminds me, how do you plan to explain the gunshot wound in your arm that the cop's gun clearly delivered? This just doesn't make any sense, and investigators would poke holes in your story so quick you'd still not have sobered up from your fueled murder bender. Also, since you've given him plenty of incentive now to want to sell you out, trying to murder him and all that, what makes you think Josh won't do so when the cops can guarantee his safety later? But all that doesn't matter, because Josh gets locked up again. Why? Red found another shell. Yeah, because he couldn't have just murdered him with his bare hands if he wanted to? Right.
6 hours before my pawpaw died of a heart attack, he made me a Bigfoot t-shirt with his own 2 hands. His heart gave out that evening, and suddenly that shirt became my most prized possession. I got to school, the kids started bullying me, but it got a lot worse on account of that shirt. They started calling me Bigfoot Fat.
Red sits Josh down for one final campfire story and tells him he's going to love the ending. Red tells us about his messed up childhood, how he and his grandpa's shared bonding over Bigfoot was an important part of who he was, how he lost his grandpa, and how his father abused him for his belief in the Squatch, along with all the kids in class. He tells us Kyle was the only one that ever believed in him, and that they partnered up to prove everyone wrong. And it's an all-around inspiring tale of brotherly love. Red realizes his career is over, that he's lost everything now, telling Josh he's lost control of the situation. Yeah, no shit. He prepares to shoot Josh, telling them that he's gonna be found in that cage along with the evidence of him shooting Kyle, before suddenly Kurt Cobaining himself instead. Jesus Christ. Okay, so he plans to just let us starve to death here, basically. You wanna know why that's dumb as shit, Red? This cop didn't check in for a while, meaning someone's gonna be here before nightfall to check on him because that's just procedure. That means Josh is already saved if he can just keep his shit together until rescue arrives. Red clearly wasn't using his brain here. Josh can't believe what he just saw and panics, but like, why, dude? You won. I know it's traumatic and all, but you literally just have to sit tight and wait for help. He just saved you. If not the cops' backup, your wife also should start freaking out when you don't come home tomorrow. Remember? Somebody! Josh screams for help, which wouldn't be a bad idea periodically, since, like I said, backup will eventually arrive for our fallen officer, or via our wife. Digging under the side of the trap isn't a bad thing to try either. It definitely looks like he was making decent progress there. He loses faith quickly here and is immediately discouraged, most likely due to how severely dehydrated he is. Earlier in the movie, we hear that when he ran out of water in his tent before encountering the actual Squatch, this was the last time he's had water. That means he's now on about 24 hours of dehydration. In general, at most, humans can last about 3 days without water. In Josh's case, I'd say it's more like 1.5 to 2 because of how hard Red had him on the run and working with the bodies. He's probably got decent odds due to the fact that he can adjust his position for shade inside the trap, keeping him cool. I get it, Josh. It feels hopeless, but like I said, help will come. Just do your best to stay calm and you're getting out of this. Now dark, Josh is struggling with dehydration. He notices Red's bottle not too far from him, and MacGyver's a hook on a rope to try and latch it onto the lid of the bottle to pull it towards himself. If he's got the energy for it, and the piece of string is long enough, which isn't shown that well here, I'd say a lasso might work better. Bottle's standing upright, so if you aim it right, you can then wrap the string around the bottle instead. Realistically though, still super unlikely to work out, but like I said, realistically, help would also have arrived by now.
Red?
That's probably not Red. Oh shit. It's Bigfoot, and he's out for the beers in the cooler. Okay, decision time. Hide in the corner so he doesn't see you. YOLO, speech check and try to see if he'll free you. Or ask the creature if it's the guy you murdered earlier. What would you pick here? And Josh picks option C.
Kyle.
And he immediately regrets his momentary lapse in IQ. Fortunately, our furry friend here isn't all that interested in him and walks away after getting his loot. Kyle picks up a rock and remembers Red telling him about the pattern in which Squatches will tap rocks onto trees to communicate with each other. It works to attract the Squatch's attention, but like I said, help is 100% coming for you. What do you stand to gain by doing this? Has it, especially after this awful experience, still not occurred to you that some people aren't interested in doing you good? Squatch walks over to investigate and pretty much rips the door off the trap like it's nothing. Josh is frozen in fear as the Squatch walks in to inspect his new timeshare in the woods. Deciding this is the perfect opportunity, Josh makes a run for it, briefly fighting off the Squatch with the rock from earlier before bolting into the woods. I still don't get what the point of this truly was. You could have let this thing walk away, and now you're running from it. Sure, you freed yourself from the cage, but for the millionth time, help would arrive. Since the cop would go missing, and we know that due to our very own 911 call, his last known position would lead straight back to us. You're running from a cryptid in the middle of the woods in pitch black dark is nothing more than a consequence of your own creation. Josh falls into a burrow, just like Red said earlier.
Bigfoot sleeps in burrows.
Meaning you've just tumbled into this thing's home. Great. In the burrow, he finds human remains, as well as a hat that belonged to Hector, and a flashlight. Ooh, so Hector did get taken out by the Squatch after all. I guess that means they either didn't mess with him at all, or maybe they did, but they weren't the reason he went missing? Very confusing. I don't even know myself. We see one thing which could be useful, a femur. Now, we're not gonna have time to turn it into one of our trusty femur daggers, but it can still serve as a blunt weapon along with the rock from earlier. If we really want again to opt for the low IQ playthrough here, and we're forced to fight a mythological monster, it's better than bare knuckle brawling. The Squatch approaches the burrow, and you're literally giving away your position with the flashlight, Josh. Why on earth would you not turn that thing off once you got your bearings and climbed up without literally beaming your position away? Dumb. He manages to get out of the burrow just in time and sprints toward the truck with Bigfoot in pursuit. He chooses the horror movie cliche hiding spot again, under the car. By some miracle of baby Jesus, the Squatch doesn't figure out where Josh is hiding, and he lives to see another day. The next morning, Josh returns to the trap and gets his shit before retrieving the keys to Red's truck and GTFOing. We see the cop's vehicle still standing there, with somehow no backup ever having shown up, because the guy's colleagues must just hate him or something.
I can honestly say I believe him.
Back at his office, Josh's boss, Mr. Vapes-A-Lot, criticizes the footage as not being clickable enough, showing zero to give about his star employee nearly being murdered for his bonus, reminding us all that corporations don't give two shits about you. Josh doubles down on his efforts and shows the first semblance of character development in this entire movie, challenging his boss on releasing this video as is. The bet? 500k views or gives up his job. Good luck, Josh. 500k views is gonna be hard once this video gets demonetized and shadow banned for 2 murders and a self-delete.
50,000 views in 1 weekend's considered a huge flop.
As expected, the video flops, thanks to YouTube. And Josh starts to realize he's now in Red's shoes, with nobody, including his wife, believing his story about the Squatch encounter.
He's lying with his stuff.
Josh is given a second chance in exchange for some free videos, but he can't go through with humiliating the Flat Earth lady again. He decides this isn't what he wants from life. He decides to carry on Red's legacy of proving Bigfoot's existence instead.
What about our life here?
I'm going to Red's cabin.
He tells his wife he basically feels responsible for the whole ordeal in the woods and wants to do right by Red and Kyle. Dude, your wife's right. They tried to kill you. Clearly we're out for their own self self-interest and literally left you in that cage to rot and die of dehydration. I think what you're feeling here is a serious case of survivor's guilt, and that instead of going on some soul-searching exploration journey, your wife should force your ass to some much-needed therapy instead, so you can talk about that incredibly fucked up experience with a professional who's used to hearing weird shit. The movie ends with Josh arriving at Red's cabin, wearing the tie-dye squat shirt Red made, ready to carry on his legacy. In the end, of our original 4 characters, only Josh survived. Kyle's death could have been prevented if Red secured his firearm, or if Kyle stuck to the plan and kept his distance, or if Kyle didn't do right before he suited up, or if Red actually treated his wound properly rather than leaving it untreated, or all of the above, really. The cop would have easily made it had he or Josh not been complete morons, secured his rifle, or at least actually kept their eyes on the guy who was responsible for all of this. This would have prevented the cop getting shot, preventing this BS altogether. This would have also prevented Red's demise there. Whether he decides to self-delete later down the line in prison is another story though. However, let's not forget the first and foremost. If Red and Kyle never attempted such a dumb plan to begin with, none of this would have happened. For this incredibly long list of reasons, I think the Bigfoot trap was beaten. Moral of the story, never delete yourself for a job that would literally sacrifice you to Bigfoot for profit.